Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6 and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, I will definitely tell you when it comes down to both of these phones, there's not really one that's like, the best phone of all time. And when it comes down to both of these, I would probably recommend buying some other phones rather than buying these ones. But these two devices are still very interesting. They have that flipping mechanism that's probably one of the most interesting things and one of the biggest achievements we've seen in phone design for the last couple of years. I love it. I think these phones are really interesting. But if you want to pick up some phones that I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the Samsung Galaxy Flip 4, which came out back in 2022, so about 2 years ago now, on the front of this phone, you were getting those two types of displays. So the cover display was a 1.9-inch Super AMOLED cover display, where it was unfolded, it was 6.7 inches, so it's a 6.7-inch foldable dynamic AMOLED display, and that's basically the main display you're going to be using. So if you're going to go through and use a phone, that's kind of the one that you're going to be using on an everyday basis, which I think is cool. Once again, I love having that type of capability of having those types of two displays, and like I mentioned, you're basically getting that type of capability on this type of phone. The display itself is good. I think it's a nice display. It's 120 Hz, 1200 nits of brightness, but it's not really anything super crazy anymore. It's a pretty basic panel as you'd probably expect. But, at that time back then, it was one of the better displays you could probably get, which I thought was a really, really nice thing for at least a foldable phone. On the Galaxy Flip 6, on the other hand, there are lots of improvements here. So coming from the Flip 4, this phone is giving you a little bit of a bigger display on the front. So this one is 3.4 inches. So that in and of itself is a very nice little improvement. So I think that's a really, really nice thing to have right there. On top of that, when it's unfolded, you're basically getting a 6.7-inch foldable dynamic LTPO AMOLED display. So this one is 120 Hz as well, but a little bit of an improvement here is that we now get 2600 nits of brightness inside of that particular panel, which makes it that much better to go and buy. If you're going to go and buy a phone, you're going to be getting that better of an improvement there, which I think is actually very, very nice to have. And like I said before, I think if I'm going through and buying a phone, it's very nice to have that type of capability inside a device like this. So, in my personal opinion, from that side, definitely gets a thumbs up for me without a doubt. So the Flip 6 is definitely better than the Flip 4. On the bottom, you're getting USB Type-C ports, which again is very nice to have. I love having USB-C, and you're going to be getting that on this type of device as well. On top of that, you're going to be getting on the back side a frosted glass back on both these types of devices, which I think is very nice to have. Like I've always mentioned, I like having a frosted glass back, and you're basically going to be getting that on these types of devices as well, which again is a very, very nice thing to have inside of these two devices. So, there's a lot of overlap here too. Wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, you're getting some sort of IP certification on both these devices. Some big takeaways though, at least on the exterior, is that the Flip 4 is going to be giving you, it's going to be giving you a smaller display on the front, and it's not going to be giving you as bright of a display. And the Flip 6, I think, is built better with having those bigger displays and having a nicer looking display when it's unfolded. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. When it comes down to the price tag, the Flip 6 is costing basically $1,099 right now, where the Galaxy Flip 4 is costing probably less than $350 no matter where you probably look. So those things are probably really big advantages. Like if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, it is very, very nice to basically have that type of capability. Just having a phone that you can buy that's significantly cheaper than the competition, I think that's a very nice thing to have inside of that type of device. So from that side again, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now from the camera side, this is also another interesting thing here, because both of these cameras are probably, they're very interesting because they're different. With the back side, you're basically getting, on the Galaxy Flip 4, a dual 12 megapixel camera setup, wide and ultra wide camera, where the Galaxy Flip 6 is now improved. So you're getting a 50 megapixel wide, then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, 10 megapixel sensors on the front, though both wide angles. So it is kind of nice to have that type of capability right there of having that better type of camera on the Galaxy Flip 6. But I don't think it's going to be the biggest difference of all time. And I do think if you're going to go and pick up a phone, they're going to be, it's not going to be these big, massive differences, I don't think. There's going to be definitely some improvements here and there, but I think they're going to be roughly around the same thing. But it really depends on how you're going to look at it. If you're going to go up to something like the Flip 6, that one in its own ways are going to be better. Same thing with the Flip 4. But the Flip 6 is going to be the better one here for every single person out there. The interesting thing here though, which is very, very interesting to me, is that with the phone like the Samsung Galaxy Flip 6, that camera, all the sensors can do 4K at 60 on the back, which is interesting. The front side, you are getting an improvement though. You can actually do 4K at 60 on the front as well on the Flip 6. Whereas on the Flip 4, you were not able to do that. So that could be an issue if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, because when you look at something like the Galaxy Flip 6, well, like that might be a reason why you'd go and upgrade to that phone. But I will tell you, phones like the Samsung Galaxy S24 that are cheaper than this phone are going to be giving you an overall better experience from the camera side than this device when it comes down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now from the software side, this is also another interesting thing here. So when it comes down to the software side of things, the Samsung Galaxy Flip 6 is going to be a longer lasting phone than the Samsung Galaxy Flip 4. But the big thing to keep in mind here for the most part is that if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, the Samsung Galaxy Flip 6 is going to be lasting a significantly longer amount of time, potentially, than the Flip 4. The Flip 6 is one of the first flip phones that we've gotten since Samsung has really improved their software longevity. If you take a look at basically the competition, when you look at the Flip 6 compared to even like the Flip 5 and those types of phones, Samsung did a crazy thing where they went through and improved the software longevity on these types of devices, which is actually a very, very crazy thing. So the fact that we have that type of capability right there is very cool. And I, for one, I'm a massive fan of the way that Samsung just did that. So personally for me, I think if I'm going to go through and pick up a phone, the Flip 6 makes even more sense to go and buy, because it's going to be giving you that type of capability right there, which I think is really nice. Longer lasting phones are always better, and you're basically going to be getting that here on this type of device too. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now on top of that, when it comes down to the performance, there's also a pretty big performance gap between these two as well. So the Flip 4 was basically giving you the 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset inside with 8 gigs of RAM, where now the Flip 6 is giving you that 8 Gen 3 chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM. So this in and of itself, once again, is probably going to be another big difference here as well. Being able to go ahead and buy a phone that's going to be giving you significantly more RAM and a way better chipset is probably always going to be a great thing. And that is kind of what's going on within these types of devices. So when it comes down to it, you are probably going to be getting an overall better phone, as you'd probably expect inside of something like the Samsung Galaxy S24, not in this case, but the Samsung Galaxy Flip 6, which has the same chipset as the Galaxy S24, over something like the Flip 4 in this particular case. So once again, kind of keep that in mind. But that's kind of how I see this particular device holding up from that side as well. So overall, what I'll definitely tell you is, I think both these phones are great, but the Samsung Galaxy Flip 6 is a better phone here. And if you're going to go and pick up one, I would recommend buying the Samsung Galaxy Flip 6 over the Flip 4. But I don't know if these would be the first phones I'd recommend anyone to buy. I think the Samsung Galaxy S24, which is cheaper than the Flip 6, is a way better phone to buy. And that is the first device I'd recommend people to buy in this particular situation. It makes so much more sense to go and buy that phone over the Flip 6 or the Flip 4. But even the phone like a Galaxy S23, I think I'd probably rather have than the Flip 6 as well, just because it's a more expensive phone than the Flip 6. And I feel like I might be getting an overall better phone on the Galaxy S23 than the Flip 6 when it comes down to the cameras and everything. But in terms of that kind of covers it up here. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.